one thing I would say about the food service sector is I think it was incredibly resilient through the pandemic. The number of our customers, of course, when the market got shut down very suddenly in March, we saw a big drop off. We probably overnight lost 85% of the sale. But actually, within a period of 4 to 6 weeks, and certainly by the time lockdown 2 came, the way that many of those businesses had galvanized around their delivery models, they're using the likes of Deliveroo, how they'd re-engineered some of their businesses was really impressive. Concepts like Sticks and Sushi, restaurant chains like Sticks and Sushi were incredible. The amount of volume that they were doing out of their restaurants, like the one on the King's Road, without the restaurant actually being open. It was phenomenal. So actually, as the pandemic went on, we found that even though the sector wasn't fully open, we were still sort of achieving probably 60-65% of the pre-pandemic sale. Obviously, since things have opened up, there's been a pretty voracious appetite from consumers to get back out and just experience eating out again, and that's been good for the business. But I mean, our strategy hasn't fundamentally changed. We're just trying to work really in a very deep and mindful way with these key customers who ultimately we feel there's a direction of travel, and a number of those customers are currently kind of in expansion mode. In some cases internationally. So with our new ownership as well, it's sort of giving us opportunities to think about how can we service customers, both sides of the Atlantic, who buy in, if you like, to the value system and potentially some common sources as well that allow them to really promote their brand on the back of some of the product that we're able to offer them. So yeah, it's been good to see the industry kind of re-emerge, and we obviously had to support a number of those customers from a cash point of view through some quite difficult moments. But I think in moments like this also you kind of on all sides you learn who your friends are, don't you, as well?
Yeah. Have you seen most of your customer base survive the pandemic, or have you had customers go under? So I've been surprised by how few restaurants that I'm aware of, about all the good ones are still there, really, as far as I can see.
Yeah, and I think that's testimony to that point I made around sort of the adaptability and resilience, and also, I think you have to take your hat off to our government. There might be many areas where you might criticise, but I think the furlough and the level of support, I mean, it was kind of, it was very bold. And definitely. Ironically, probably, Tom, what's happened is a number of businesses that perhaps actually aren't viable in the long term have been kept going, and it might still be another 3, 6, 9 months before you see the true fallout. However, certainly, good businesses with fundamentally good business models have been able to keep going and actually adapt and come out, I suspect, very strongly.
Yeah, and on the have you seen, since food services has come back, have you seen retail drop off, or has it continued to stay at a sort of similar level?
No, we've definitely seen a drop in retail as people have had more choices as to where to ultimately consume their calories. So going into the pandemic, I was very pleased with our 80-20 split of retail to food service. Coming out, I wish it was more 50-50.
Right.
But yeah, people, I think, especially through the summer, people had I think the idyll of the family meal all sat around the table had. I don't know about your own experience, but probably slightly worn off. So I think any excuse people did have to get out, and probably people had saved a few quid as well through the pandemic. So I think the food service market has probably enjoyed some of that spend flowing its way.